Alcohol consumed in moderation is dramatically, overwhelmingly more poisonous than pesticides in your food. Hey everybody, it's Jason Blaha here. I thought I would chat with you guys and gals a little bit about this today. And the reason I bring this up is because, this is such a point of both hypocrisy and lack of knowledge among many people. And again, the reason I say this, because there are so many people who are anti-pesticide, and they act like we can even really feed everybody without pesticides on food, that we could even feed the population. It's just completely ludicrous. But setting that aside, there people will, okay, but it's literally a poison. Okay. And I understand that knee-jerk response from people. I get that. People are like, okay, but insecticides are poisonous. They kill insects, right? Not all of them are necessarily poisonous to you, by the way, but that's another topic. I do see the point, okay? But here's the thing. People will make a big deal about it. They make websites about it. They'll write articles about it. They'll talk about it. Oh, I really go out of my way. But then that same person drinks casually. And I'm just like, do you not understand that these are not even in the same ballpark? And people don't get that. They're oblivious to the fact of how much more poisonous a single glass of wine or a shot is compared to the amount of pesticides, like in the U.S., that can even legally be in your food. And I mean, this is a quantitative issue, okay? So we need to be clear on that. It's literally saying, hey, we can measure the toxicity of substances. We know how much of a load they put on your liver. We know what your body has to do to filter them. This is not something that we can't study. All right? And what people need to grasp there is, when it comes to something like that, pesticides, the amount that the FDA allows, they limit the amount that can be on your food. So it's not like when you go to the grocery store, this stuff hasn't been tested and there aren't guidelines in place. And what you'll actually find is that even if you eat, say, 2 pounds of broccoli every day, all right, and you've washed off a little bit of the pesticide, but there's going to be some of it in it still, all right, a little bit gets in there. The amount of toxic load that's going to put on your body is way less than drinking in moderation. I mean, so much so that they're not comparable. Meaning, especially if someone drinks more than one drink a week. I mean, now we're into potentially 1,000 times as much toxicity from that alcohol. And I'm not saying some of the pesticides aren't poisonous in small amounts, but our bodies can handle small amounts of toxins. Okay, that's why we have a liver. It does filter these things. Obviously, you don't want large amounts of anything, right? You don't want something that's going to compromise your health. But they'll still consume alcohol. And again, I'm only pointing out the hypocrisy of people who are scared of poisons. Like, I'm scared of consuming this because, I'm not saying because it could be bad through some other pathway, but because it's literally a poison. But ethanol is a poison. That's actually the reason you get intoxicated from it. Okay? That's why we get a buzz and get drunk and everything from alcohol. It's a poison. That's what's causing the intoxication effect in your brain. It's poisoning you. And it creates those effects. Okay? The other problem, though, is that it's addictive and it's socially acceptable, and that's part of the issue. And what I would suggest to people is that if pesticides became socially acceptable, people would probably have no issue consuming them. Again, the irony here. All right, and I've seen the arguments people make, but there's no redeeming quality. It's like, well, what do you mean the redeeming qualities of pesticides? They allow us to have food. They allow us to control insects from eating all of our food so that we can produce enough food to feed our population and to keep costs down and all these things. Plus, on top of that, companies go out of their way to try to develop safer ones. It's a competitive market. And again, people seem to forget that. There's literally, these companies are competing with each other to make pesticides that are safer for you and produce better crop yields. It's a competitive business. And they all know that the dangerousness of them are going to be tested by things like the FDA, by government bodies. And therefore, if they can make less toxic ones to you than their competitors that work better, see where we're going? They're going to make more money. There is literally an incentive, a financial incentive to these companies to try to make safer ones, and there's government mandates to push it, and it affects their contracts, it affects their money. It is a benefit to them. Okay? So then when people say, but there's no positive benefits, but there are. Being able to feed your population, pretty positive benefit. And again, a competitive market to try to make safer ones and competing with other companies to do so for the profits. Okay, what about alcohol? Half the time these people are, let's see who can make the best tasting one. Let's see if we can make one to get you drunker. You know, this is not not the thing, because again, people are consuming it because the poison is what makes them drunk. Okay, poison is what makes them drunk. Right? There's no incentive to make it safer. Right? And people talk about the social benefits. Well, what? The fact that it makes you depressed, the fact that it makes you addicted, the fact that it causes wide-scale accidents. Okay? I'm just going to say the drunk driving toll in the U.S., the deaths, is catastrophic. I mean, again, I'm not going to talk politics, but there are things that people are terrified about that produce a death toll that's like 1% of what alcohol does just from the roads. That people literally scream and yell and want completely banned. I'm just going to say, just pointing that out. But not their precious alcohol. The violence that it causes, the domestic violence. How much is alcohol consumption related to domestic violence? Overwhelming. Depression, suicide. Okay? So we're going to talk about, well, there's at least redeeming qualities. All those factors versus the ability to grow more food so that people can eat. Yeah, I'm going to say one of them does have redeeming factors and one of them doesn't. But again, when I do this, when I bring this up, people say, well, this is a false equivalency. No, it isn't. We're literally comparing one poison to another poison. That is not a false equivalency. We are literally comparing poisons that humans ingest through their mouth. The only difference is one of them is necessary to feed us and the other is completely optional. All right, guys, but that's really all I have to say on that today. I hope it's been informative, and I'll talk to you guys and gals next time.